What is up, my fellow muscle journeyers? Wanted to make a short video today about a topic that came up in the natural bodybuilding controversy video I made, where I mentioned something about bone structure. I had a few requests from people who are going, hey, what was that about? What do you mean that bone structure is going to dictate whether people think you're natural or not, or perhaps your success in the sport? And then I also wanted to piggyback on a great video that Coach Loomis just made about it being you versus you, and that it takes a lot of maturity to enjoy the sport and compete at a high level, because comparing yourself to others is the fastest way to become discouraged, and it won't probably result in you getting your best results. In fact, he pointed out that if you just focus on improving you every single year, instead of worrying about, or every single season, instead of worrying about how you compare to others, you're more likely to reach your true competitive potential. And I think that's 100% true. There was many times I was discouraged in my development, and I didn't even realize at the time a lot of it had to do with this whole thing that we're going to talk about in this video. But when I was able to get the mindset of, you know what, I'm just going to become the best Eric Helms I could be, that's what kept me in it. And I would have quit a few years in and never even gotten my pro card. And so you're never going to know what you can accomplish in something until you put in at least 10 years, to be honest, if it's something that you really want to be serious about and see how far you can take. And comparing yourself to others is probably not the best way to do that. And let's talk about more quantitatively what the hell I was talking about with bone structure there. So I'm going to put up two pictures. This first picture is a picture of myself and my training partner, good buddy of mine, Adam, in a show we did together in 2009. I want to say we were like a week out, or a few days out actually. We have the same number of years training, the same style of training. In fact, we were our training partners together for I think half of our lifting career at this point. So roughly the same development. We're the same age. I think we were born only a few months apart. I could be wrong. And I think we're both relatively similarly genetically gifted. Our weights progressed pretty similarly relative to our body weight as we trained. And this is us hitting the most muscular together. And when you look at that, what I want you to try to think in your mind's eye is, who has bigger delts? And I think it's pretty clear that if you look at Adam in the red trunks, he's got much more big capped delts, and he looks much wider than me, right? And the first thing you'd probably think, and this is, Eric, you really got to work on your shoulders. I want to see more lateral raises, more overhead press, your legs overpowering your physique. And now I want to take this to a shot we took about 3 seconds later of us doing a side tricep. Now, as you can see here, it doesn't still appear that I have smaller delts than him anymore. And the reason being is two simple things. One is muscle shape and attachments, which Berto made a video about a long time ago. And as much as there is kind of the belief that you can change muscle shapes or attachments with training, you can't. Tendons insert where they insert. Muscle bellies are going to grow in the lines of force, and gravity being the most dominant force that is always affecting us, and us lifting weights against gravity, muscles are pretty much just going to get bigger or smaller. So there's not a lot of muscle shaping that you can do. So muscle attachments and muscle shape, a lot of that is out of your hands. That says you can get a lot bigger, you can get a lot stronger. And even more importantly than that is the frame that all that muscle sits on top of. And the difference between Adam and me is this. His rib cage is shaped like that. Mine is shaped like this. He has a small pelvis. I have a pelvis that's roughly the same size as my rib cage. It's bone structure. So that means when you turn me to the side and you can't get a perspective on how wide I am, because I'm not wide, I look a lot bigger than when you see me from the front, and I have this non-taper. While Adam, his nickname is actually the Kite. Even when he's not that well developed, you put a shirt on him, and he just looks big, you know. But however, if you sit a side chest together or a side tricep, you can see that he doesn't have the same thickness I do. And this has everything to do with the fact that his bone structure is ideal for the sport of bodybuilding. He has a small pelvis, a large rib cage. That means his shoulders are going to be further out and create a better visual symmetry and illusion of size, not that he's not big, than me. And that's why a lot of the times you'll see pictures of me angled or in side shots, and that's my go-to shots, because that's when I don't look small. And this is true of many, many bodybuilders. This is a huge part of bodybuilding. It's illusion. You know, so the way you do well in the sport is not by being, I'm 200 pounds at 10% body fat. And someone going, well, wait a minute, we weigh the same, we have the same percentage body fat, why don't I look like him? Or I have the same arm measurement as him, but his arms look bigger. Why is that? Muscle shape, joint size, attachments, and the person's ability to pose and put themselves in a position that looks better. So I want you guys to stop focusing on your stats. Don't worry about what you're going to look like when you get to a certain weight or body composition. And I want you to stop comparing yourself to other people, except when it's going to serve you. So when should you compare yourself to someone else? I want you to find somebody who has a similar bone structure to you. Don't just look at a physique you love. Find someone who has you know, been in the sport maybe amount of time that you can consider being the same as you. Like, for all you guys who want to look like Matt Ogus, who's only been lifting for 6 months, you got to realize he's been lifting since he was, you know, before high school. So when you set a goal, it's got to be realistic. You know, say, okay, in 3 or 4 years, I want to look like this guy whose physique I really admire, who seems to have a pretty similar bone structure to mine. And then you can maybe look at that stat a little more realistically. But the main point being here is that you can't change your bone structure. You can't change your muscle attachments. All you can do is bust your ass, do the best you can, and put in as much time as possible, really, a lifetime, and see what you can accomplish. So yeah, I just want to reiterate the point that Berto made and Brad made, and clarify what I was talking about with bone structure being one of those things that is so influential on what you look like on a bodybuilding stage. And you know, just because someone has a small pelvis in the right size and shape of rib cage doesn't mean that they're doing something right and you're doing something wrong. Right? That's why we can't necessarily take the best physiques, you know, training advice without any kind of question to the validity or the approach to it. You can have someone who develops a great physique despite of what they do, or you could have someone who doesn't develop a great physique even though they're training optimally, just because they might not have the right you know, gifts that they can't control. So what really matters is you need to see how someone progressed from where they started. And that's what you guys should care about in your own development. Because in the end, it's you versus you, and this is a journey. And how big your muscles get really doesn't matter anywhere near as much as what you learn from this and what you get out of life from this never-ending pursuit of your goals, whatever they are. So before I get too metaphysical and airy-fairy, point being, focus on you, beat the last iteration. Each time you get on stage, be version 1, 1.2, 2.1, 2.3, and keep progressing, and that's the journey we're going to follow. All right, guys, Eric Helms signing out. I'll see you next time.